They call it the big time. You got your name in lights. Now you're gonna shine. Got them in your sights.
You're just trying to find a way out. I don't wanna tell you how to live, but I just don't want you to miss. And I don't mean to scare you, I want you to live, and I dare you to give this life all you have. Yeah, all you have. Don't get it twisted. We're on a mission to live life legendary. Yeah, we are legendary. We are legendary. We are not ordinary. We are legendary. You will remember our names. We are legendary. Living extraordinary. We There's strength in our blood. You're one of us. You're one of us. We are legendary. We are not ordinary. We are legendary. You will remember our names. We are legendary. Living extraordinary. We are legendary. You will remember our names. You will remember our names. You will remember our names.
Escorted by her mom and father, Megan and Chris, along with sisters Kaylee and Addison.
It's Panther Friday night on Tradio. Glad to be with you here tonight at Burleson ISD Stadium as the Colleyville Heritage Panthers pay a visit to take on the Elks of Burleson. Colleyville, they've won 3 consecutive games, looking to make it a 4th and clinch a 2 seed. We'll have the pregame show coming up on Panther Friday night on Tradio.
And Cade.
Zone for the touchdown. That's it. Back with you here in Burleson, the Colleyville Heritage Panthers taking on the Elks of Burleson here in 3-5A D2 action. Colleyville Heritage here tonight on our Corey Kessler Home Loans pregame show, looking to clinch a 2 seed if they can win one of their final 2 games. What does that mean? Well, it means they could get a home playoff game with a victory tonight and clinch that. They've already punched a ticket to the playoffs, and within this tough district, Argyle, Colleyville Heritage, and Mansfield Summit have all clinched playoff berths. The 4th seed comes down to Timberview and Seguin. We'll get into more of that, but coming up right now, we're going to hear from head football coach Jerry Edwards, our weekly visit with the head ball coach, and let's get his thoughts on this matchup. This is Panther Friday night on Tradio, our weekly visit with head football coach Jerry Edwards. Coach, your team has a really nice second half for the second consecutive week to pick up your 3rd victory in a row. Heading into a road matchup tonight against Burleson, how do you feel about this group? Just a couple games left in the regular season.
Well, last week, it's one of those, find a way to win, and our kids did that, and it just kind of that mentality that we've had all year. Panther fight never dies, and our kids scraped and clawed and got a key district win at home, and so we're in a good position. I think that we need to get one more win out of the final 2 to lock in the 2 seed and get a home playoff game, and so our kids are focused in on that, and we've tried to clean some things up this week and be prepared for a Burleson team that, if you don't take care of business, can sneak up on you. So our kids are locked in, ready to go.
Your team locked in, winning 5 of your last 6 games, now 6-2 on the season, and like you said, have the inside track for the 2 seed if you can win one of the final 2 games. What do you know about Burleson? You mentioned a team that can sneak up on you. What are some of the things they do really well?
Well, their quarterback is pretty dynamic. He does a good job of, creating some opportunities for their offense. He's just a sophomore. They got a new head coach. And so as the season's gone on, they've kind of progressed and gotten a little bit better. And they're going to try to do what the last 2 teams did against us, try to keep it a low-scoring game. A lot of their games that they've won this year were, 13-10, 9-0, and 10-7. And so they want to keep the score low. And so we got to get on track early, and I feel like I've been saying that every week. But we want to try to get going early and often, and try to take them out of their game. Not a super high-profiled offense. And so if we can get up by a couple scores, I feel pretty good about it. Their defense has been giving up some points, but some guys that fly around. Still learning the new scheme with the new coach. But, a gritty team that's going to play hard. They're out of the playoffs, and so, they're trying to play spoiler. It's their last home game of the season. And so, those kids are going to play for a lot of pride. And so, teams they're playing for pride, you got to be careful for not falling into a trap game.
When we dive into what Panther Fight Never Dies means, it's really been exemplified the past couple weeks and multiple times this season. You're down 26-20, 9 minutes to go in the third quarter. You score 16 unanswered points to win the ball game, and again, for the second consecutive week, you hold a team off the scoreboard, and for the Jaguars' sake, they were really moving the ball in the first half, and then you're able to throw up a 0 on the board defensively in that fourth quarter for the second consecutive week. What is it with your team being able to make adjustments in game? They're running the ball like crazy in the first half, and then you really shut them down and bottle them up in the second half, and that's kind of a similar script these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I think it's really a tribute to, our defense. I think when teams watch us defensively, we're pretty good, and we've done a good job on that side of the ball. So the offensive teams, kind of scheme us. And, the first couple quarters, the last couple weeks, they've come out and done something uncharacteristic of their football team. And so it's taken us a little bit to adjust and adapt to it. I thought Summit came in with a great game plan. They put a hat on a hat and kind of came right at us. And it took us a little while to make those adjustments. But our kids have full trust in us, and we have full trust in them. And coaches do a good job of making the adjustments that we need, and the kids do a good job of adapting to what we're telling them to do in game. And our kids have full confidence that they're going to go out there and get the job done. We've never hit the panic button at halftime because we always feel like we're in control, regardless of the scoreboard. And it's kind of that same message, even offensively. Offensively, we only had 3 possessions in the first half, which, was Summit's game plan is to limit our time of possession. And we scored 1 out of those 3, which is what you want to do. You only had 7 offensive possessions for the game, and we wound up putting 30-something points on the board. So our kids are resilient, and we don't talk about watching the scoreboard as the game goes on. We talk about dominating each and individual play throughout the game, and the scoreboard at the end of the night will take care of itself. And so I think our kids do that. I don't think they pay attention to really what the score is. They're just focusing on the next series, next play, on both sides of the ball and in special teams as well, because they know that one side of the ball is going to give us a spark and get the job done.
And there were just some massive plays in the game last week and some guys really standing out. Madden Williams for the second consecutive week is involved in a fumble, forcing one last week and then returning one for a touchdown this week. And he's really been a part of a linebacking core that has been able to make those adjustments and be leaders on your defense. Like you mentioned, for his play, what can you say about how that second level of your defense is continuing to progress this season?
Well, those guys, those 3 starters, Dax, Madden, and Lloyd have, they've had 14 games under their belt from last year. And, they've got 8 games under their belt this year so far. And they're just really comfortable in what we do. They're great students of the game. They understand, from my perspective, what we want to accomplish and how we want to accomplish it. And, the turnovers on our team, and the one that Madden had the other night, is just flying to the football, just getting there, because you just never know what's going to happen. I mean, he's running out to the perimeter to, help make a tackle on a fast screen, and the ball pops up in the air, and he happens to be there. That play doesn't happen unless you're hustling down the field and playing between the whistles. And I think everybody on our defense does a good job of doing that.
And speaking of the turnovers, you are able to get an interception by a guy who, at least from my perspective, had not played all that often this year. Joe Nisbet getting in there and having a massive, probably one of the biggest plays of the game to allow you guys to go down and have a huge drive down the field. 10 plays, 90 yards, finished off by a Nick Wankambi, big touchdown. How about Nisbet getting involved in the action, somebody who hasn't got a ton of time this year?
Yeah, he's coming off injury, and so we kind of been slowly getting him ready. And he's a hard hitter kid, and so we'd had him in for a situation there. And once again, telling our kids all the time, be ready when your number's called. And they had ran the tailback wheel early in the game for a touchdown. We talked about it on the sideline, and he necessarily wasn't the guy in when they scored. But being on the sideline, paying attention, understanding what we're trying to do. They tried to go back to tailback wheel again, and he just dropped underneath it and did a good job. And the quarterback didn't see him, threw it right to him. But, that's being coachable and adapting to the game. And that was a big play, kind of switched the momentum back in our favor. Gave us an opportunity for our offense to get that third possession of the second half and go down and score to tie the game. Had a block PAT there, but an opportunity to really take the lead. And we hadn't played a really clean game up until that point. But, big plays sparked our team in different areas like I'd mentioned earlier, and that was one of them.
And then the ending of that game, pretty wild as well. You go for the pass on third down. It ends up as an interception. Kind of works out as a fantastic punt down at the 1 yard line. And Bryson Burgess is in there, the man who had an incredible, goes about 90 yards on a kickoff return earlier in the game. And he's able to help bring down a man in the end zone to allow your team, who only up by 8, if they drive it down and score by 2, can tie the game to really pretty much seal that ball game last week. His play on really special teams and defensively has been huge, and another big one of your leaders as well for that Panthers defense.
Yeah, a senior captain that's a 3-year starter, kind of does it all, deep snapper, punt return guy, safety. That point in the game, we had talked to our defense that, hey, if they do get a chance to get back on the field, they got to go down and score, and then they got to go for 2. So we got to be locked in. If they score, let's make sure we're locked in and get the win on the 2-point. But luckily for us, the ball got spotted on the 1, threw a little fast screen. Dax read it really well, kind of slowed the guy down, and then Burgess came in and cleaned it up to get the safety in the win. But once again, just finding a way to seal that game and get the dub. Super proud of our kids.
So a couple games left in the regular season. Coach, final question for you. You mentioned your opponent tonight, and again, the opportunity that you have to win one of these final 2 games, perhaps secure a home playoff game, and that could happen tonight. As we progress into November football, what do you think the biggest key is to have success late in the year and try to go on another deep playoff run?
Well, I think we got to get going early. I still don't think we've put 4 quarters of football together yet. I was telling the kids today, it's like, growing up, I had a 66 Mustang, and to get that thing going, I had to let it idle for a little while before it would, be full power. And so I told the kids, I said, we got to find a way to idle that engine up earlier and get it going, whether we change our routine or our approach to the game or just the mentally how we prepare to get going early in the game. Because, you can see, we hadn't talked really a lot about our offense, but, in the second half, those guys really took off. Our run game got going. Bodie was able to find some receivers and get that going. He scrambled for some big first down to keep the change moving. And then Nick Wankambi had some big catches there late, when they jumped off sides to really move us down the field. And so once we get going, and then we've talked about how our defense played the second half, but once we get going, we're a really, really good football team. And so when we get closer to the playoffs, we're going to play other good football teams. And I think, it's going to be the teams that can play four full quarters and execute to a high level and all that. So we just got to get that car cranked up and idled up a little bit earlier so we're running full speed.
Love that, Coach. Well, looking forward to the game tonight. Hope you can get going early. And again, thanks so much for your time joining us here on the pregame show.
I appreciate it. Thanks as always. Go Panthers.
That's head football coach Jerry Edwards joining us on the pregame show here on Panther Friday Night. on Tradio, getting ready for this matchup. Colleyville Heritage paying a visit to Burleson here in this 3-5A D2 matchup. And here come the Panthers. They run on out here on the road in the white uniforms tonight across the way. And let's get a look at the starting lineup here for the Panthers this evening. The offensive line, Parker Leatherwood at left tackle, Chandler Sampson at left guard, Jaden Griffin at center, Tucker Perryman at right guard, and West Dalio Kubik. Those are the five up front for the Panthers on the offensive line. Nick Wankambi, Samir Johnson, and Trevi Prysha, the wide receivers starting for the Panthers. And in the backfield, it's Bodie Weaver, the junior quarterback, alongside sophomore running back Gerard Wiley and Luke Graves at tight end for Colleyville. On that starting offensive front. On the defensive side, a unit that has continued to get better and better. A ton of leadership on this front. Demarius Logan's had some big weeks the last few weeks. Evan Ayeta, their big star at tackle. Nehemiah Ole Iwola and Matthew Udemba. That's a defensive front that Jerry Edwards says creates a lot of pressure and opens up things for that second level of Colleyville's defense. But we're going to step aside here for a moment for the national anthem.
Members of our color guard include tonight the right guard, Cadet Wesley Smirk, the left guard, Chloe Gilbert, carrying the Texas flag, Cadet Emma Hardy, and bearing our national colors, Cadet Cassidy Gilbert. And now, to honor America, the Spirit of the Elks Marching Band, under the direction of Tyler Gert, will perform our national anthem.
Getting ready for action here on Panther Friday night on radio. The Burleson Elks and the Colleyville Heritage Panthers collide this evening. The Elks' third year in 3 seasons under a new head coach for the third and second year. Back to the starting lineups: Dak Severson, Madam Williams, and Darian Lloyd, that second level of that Panther defense. All the starters returning and big key cogs for this defense. And then the secondary as well, making a lot of plays. Bryson Burgess out there along with Adrian Gaines, and then Hayden West and Jaden Hall at cornerback. But Colleyville will start with the football in this one here at Burleson as we're getting ready for kickoff. The Elks won the toss and deferred to the second half.
Deep for the Panthers will be number 1. Nicholas McCombie and number 4, Theodore Williams.
And Gavin Kean has it teed up and kicks this one off and out of bounds, not allowing Bryson Burgess to have a return. If you were with us last week, Bryson Burgess had a return that you probably wanted to watch. Took that about 90 yards back into the end zone as Colleyville's first 2 scores came from units outside their offense, but it's their offense that will start on the field here this evening. Bodie Weaver and company with the ball at the 30-yard line after Kean's kick went out of bounds and the flag came. It'll be a 30-yard line start for Colleyville on their opening drive. They can clinch a number 2 seed this evening with a victory.
And quarterback number 2, Bodie Weaver.
Weaver in the gun. Going to throw it on the first play. Gives it off to Nick Wancombe. Eventually wrestled down by Jaden Flournoy, the junior cornerback. And Wancombe is able to make the catch. A pickup of 4. Sets up 2nd and 6. Wancombe 3 touchdowns on the season. Has been a big one to step up over the last 4 or 5 weeks in the absence of Braden Blewett, who went down just 4 games into the season. The Elks show a blitz and they flip it off to Gerard Wiley, but a good play made in the boundary there by Ty Freeman, the junior linebacker, able to meet Wiley, who got the shovel pass from Bodie Weaver as they put the sophomore running back in motion. And that sets up a 3rd down. 3rd and 6 after no gain on the play, as Colleyville has it at their own 34-yard line. Weaver in the gun. Wiley next to him. And it's a throw out to Wiley, in and out of his hands. Flournoy was there in the coverage, and for as much as Jerry Edwards talked in the pregame show about wanting to get a very, very fast start, making that one of the keys, and mentioned it multiple times on the pregame show, it's the special teams unit and Ryan Zucker out to punt, as Colleyville has a 3-and-out on their opening drive. No return on the kickoff, started at the 30. But just a 4-yard gain on that opening drive, and that's all they could have. An incompletion forces the punt, and the ball goes out of play around the 23-yard line, and that's where the Elks will set up shop. Burleson 3-5, 2-4 in district play, led by former NFL player Philip Tanner. Spent time as the Cowboys special teams coach. The Elks trying to snap a 2-game skid. They are eliminated from playoff contention here in this district. They're playing for a lot of pride here on senior night as well. They get a quick completion across the 35-yard line on the opening play from scrimmage for this Elks offense. They go to the outside to Brody Lott for a pickup of 9 yards.
9 on the play to 42 yards. 7 down and 1.
Second play, handoff to the right side, and nothing doing for the Elks. In to make the tackle, Bryson Burgess, and not much room to operate on the ground for the Elks running back, Nathan Jackson, 5'7" junior. Really the lead back for this group this season, with over 400 yards on the ground, about 3.8 per carry, multiple men in motion. For the Elks, the quarterback trying to make something happen on his own, then gives it back off to Jackson once again, and they get maybe a yard, sets up a 4th and 1 from the 37-yard line. So big play awaits here, 4th and 1, and the Elks offense stays out on the field. 2 receivers up to the far side. QB keeper on 4th and 1 and tackled immediately by Madden Williams, but it is going to be enough to pick up the first down for Andrew Sparks, the sophomore quarterback. Runs it quite a bit, 88 attempts on the year, 3.2 per carry, gets about 47 yards a game on the ground. But he got the one there to get a fresh set of downs for the Elks. And it is a 1st and 10 for them from their own 38-yard line. Opening drive for Burleson after Colleyville had to punt. Empty backfield. Here for Sparks, now comes up to the line. And quick hit to the outside. Ball is completed. Jaden Hall comes in to make the tackle. But a quality completion on the first down. Sets up 2nd and a yard to go. So a couple nice gains on first downs to start the drive for Burleson as they approach midfield. Hand off to the right side, then the ball hits the turf in the backfield. And nowhere to go. They got it off to the wide receiver, Landon Smith, and he dropped the pigskin in the backfield for a big loss, and Colleyville was all over it to set up 3rd and long. So 3rd and 7. The Elks back up to their own 41-yard line with 7.5 minutes to play. In this first quarter of action, opening drive for Burleson. 3-step drop here for Sparks. Now steps up in the pocket, fires it to the near side, and it's completed. The second reception for Zachary Alford, the senior wideout. And that picks up a first down, so a couple of conversions, one on 4th and 1 there on 3rd and 7, and the Elks move to midfield after the completion to Alford, the senior wideout. Just his 5th reception of the season. Now the Elks bunch up. They've got a 1st and 10 from the 50-yard line. Sparks, the quarterback, Jackson, the running back. And Sparks going to take it himself, and he was met by Udemba in the backfield. Tried to spin, but another Panther was in the vicinity, and Madden Williams is able to make the tackle. And for as much as this defensive front does a lot of work to create those open holes for the second level and linebacking core of this Panther defense, one thing you'll notice right now to start this ball game, it's the freshman Isaiah Omar starting on the defensive line, lined up at tackle with Evan Nayeta, and then Logan and Udemba on the ends. 2nd and 10. Shot down the field, it's incomplete. Looking for the sideline once again. Intended target was Zachary Alford. Looking to him early in this ball game. Already a couple of completions coming into the game with just 4 receptions on the season, but 2 on this opening drive, and the Elks now face a 3rd and 10 from midfield, 6:27 on the clock here in this first quarter, which is brought to you by IFC Roofing. 10th play of the drive upcoming, and it's going to be Sparks who just had to pitch it down to the turf as pressure came. And he got rid of it quickly to set up the 4th down. Now the officials will get together. It looks like they're going to discuss potentially if this was a flag. Was there a receiver in the area? Because he certainly did not get out of the tackle box. And we'll see what the conversation is going to be with the sophomore quarterback trying to evade the pressure. That's when Colleyville's defense has really been at its best this year in those clear pass rushing downs. They've been able to pin their ears back and get to the quarterback quite a bit. But when they haven't against some mobile quarterbacks over the past few weeks, reference a few weeks back against Arlington Seguin, But no, it looks like the ball's getting moved forward, or at least to the initial line of scrimmage, because no yards were gained and the marker moves to 4th down. So no flag after there was some discussion, presumably, and a punt comes up. So the Elks do get a pair of first downs on their opening drive, but are forced to punt from the 50-yard line. And Bryson Burgess is back to return. Punt is off from Braden Bruder, and it goes into the end zone. For a touchback, so the second series for Colleyville upcoming. Teams trade punts on their opening drives. And we'll take a quick timeout. Back in a moment. It's Panther Friday Night on Tradio.
All right, Buster, come on, you got this. Fix that hair on the right. Just give me hands. Give me the vicious kitty. Perfect. Hey, you, 40-yard line. Big guy, no, the other guy. I've seen your LinkedIn picture. It's not great, bless your heart. You need a new headshot. And since you're not watching the game, watch this.
Unleash your professional image with Metroplex headshots. From individual headshots to executive team portraits, we deliver exceptional quality. Metroplex Headshots combines artistry and expertise to create headshots that make an impact. Visit our website at metroplexheadshots.com or call us today to schedule your session. Metroplex Headshots. Unleash your professional image.
So after Burleson punts, Colleyville gets the ball back, starting at their own 20 after the touchback, and Gerard Wiley, he picks up 7 yards on first down, and Bodie Weaver with a pass out to Nick Wankambi, his second reception of the night, and that's good for a first down up to the 33-yard line. So 2 plays, and Colleyville has gained 13 yards with a fresh set of downs, now a 1st and 10 from their own 33-yard line. Weaver calls receivers to bunch up, a handoff to Gerard Wiley, and he tries to run up the right side, but not a ton of room, just gains a yard. 2nd and 9 awaits. Colleyville's first series was the 3-and-out. They just gained 4 yards, but on the following drive, Burleson took it on their opening series, started at the 28 and forced to punt from the 50-yard line. Another handoff to Wiley. Big hole on the right side and a burst of speed up to the 45. Man, what a big hole created, and a first down for Colleyville on a nice gain by Gerard Wiley. And the sophomore running back puts Colleyville up to the 46. Under 5 minutes to go in this opening quarter. No score. Second try for Colleyville. Bodie Weaver and company trying to get on the board first. A 1st and 10 from the 46-yard line. Weaver goes right back to Wiley, puts his head down. Looks like maybe he lost the football or lost his footing for a second and just tumbled down to the turf, was able to pick up 2 yards out of it. And a 2nd and 8 awaits from the 48-yard line. Big hole created on that right side on the previous play, and that is a big credit to that right side of the offensive line. Wes Dalio-Cubic at right tackle is creating lanes for the sophomore running back to gash, and they want to establish the run to try to open up the passing efforts for Bodie Weaver. He's back to pass here, trying to fit a tight window to Luke Graves down the middle, and it's incomplete. 2 defenders in the area, and Bodie Weaver couldn't thread the needle. It's 3rd and 8. 3rd and 8, Bryce Abraham comes in, the running back on 3rd down. Luke Graves and Nick Wankambi lined up here on the near side. And also checking in, Landon Dressel, the junior wide receiver. Up on the far side and lined up top is Samir Johnson. So two receivers split to either side, 3rd and 8. Bodie Weaver steps up in the pocket, looks to run himself, and he puts his shoulders down, gets a first down and some up to the 41-yard line, and Colleyville moves into Elks territory on a nice Bodie Weaver run. He maybe took an unnecessary hit there, but picked up the necessary yardage for the first down. Spreads everybody out. There is a flag down on the play as well. The junior running back, something Coach Edwards talked about, he really liked the way that Bodie Weaver was able to step up and situations like that make plays on 3rd down. The sticks have not moved just yet. There was a flag down on the play in the secondary, and it looked like it came after the play, but the initial play that we saw was a Bodie Weaver first down. Are they going to add more on to the play? It looks like that's going to be the case as we await for the call, and it is going to be a personal foul against the defense. And that'll tack on 15 yards. So after the play, the Elks apply a hit that allows Colleyville to move the football forward, a 1st and 10 all the way up to the 26-yard line. Bodie Weaver gives it off to Bryce Abram, his first attempt tonight, and gets to the outside for a decent pickup to the edge, in this two-headed monster in the backfield, really solidifying this Colleyville rushing attack along with Bodie Weaver, the quarterback who you just saw pick up that first down, a gain of 4 for Abram on his first carry of the night. Two split out to either side on the wide receivers and called in once again. Man comes in motion in Wendler, handoff to the right side. And Abram gets to the 20-yard line, a pickup of about 2 yards to set up 3rd down. Colleyville in field goal range, but 3rd down and short this area of the field in this stage of the game, their second drive. You'd suspect that this Colleyville offense and coaching staff are probably going to be able to push the envelope and make this 4-down territory from this area of the field. We'll see what they can do. 3rd and 3. Weaver, handoff right side, nice hole, and right at the line to gain a yard past it. It is Gerard Wiley who picks up the first down. That right side is creating some big holes for a drive that started back at the 20-yard line. This Colleyville offense is moving, and they're doing it on the ground. Bodie Weaver with the big run on 3rd and 8. And Gerard Wiley with a 3rd and 3 gain to pick up a first down as the Panthers are now in the red zone putting together a double-digit play drive in response to their opening series 3-and-out. Trips over to the far side with Weaver in the shotgun, gives it back off to Wiley, and he goes right up the middle. And he's stopped at the line of scrimmage. 2.5 to go in this opening quarter here at Burleson ISD Stadium. 3-5A D2 action. Senior night for Burleson. The Elks with a lot of pride to play for. They are eliminated from the playoffs. This opening quarter brought to you by IFC Roofing. 2nd and 10 from the 15-yard line for Colleyville, approaching just 2 minutes to play in this first quarter of action. 13th play of the drive upcoming. Weaver looks to pass, gets rid of it quickly. Off to Samir Johnson, tackled at the 10-yard line. Closing in to make that stop for Burleson. One of their leading tacklers, Charlie Waterhouse. And it sets up a 3rd and 4 from the 9-yard line. Weaver gives it off to Dax Hebeson, who was lined up in the backfield, and he gets right to the line to gain. Tight space to operate. And why not put one of your leading tacklers in the backfield and see what he can do with the ball? Dax Hebeson with a pair of touchdown catches already this year. And the linebacker getting the job done. It is 4th and 1. They give it off to Gerard Wiley, and he looks like he picks up the yardage to pick up the first down and set up goal to go for Colleyville. And that's going to be very close. On 4th and 1, Colleyville does pick up that first down. It's 1st and goal to go from the 5-yard line for Colleyville. Wiley in the backfield. Weaver looks to pass. Corner of the end zone, and it's incomplete. Looking for Samir Johnson toward the corner in coverage. Lyndon Kilgore, the junior free safety, tasked to cover the sophomore wideout. And that'll set up a 2nd and goal to go from the 5 for Colleyville. Looking to get on the scoreboard first tonight. Late in the first quarter on their 2nd drive of the game. Weaver once again, handoff to Dax Hebeson, and he keeps twisting and turning and up to about the 2-yard line. Giving it off to Dax Hebeson. Coming into this game, he just had 3 carries on the year, but he has 2 in the red zone. And that sets up a 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line. Handoff right side to Gerard Wiley. Maybe gets about a yard. And that's going to set Colleyville up on 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. And it looks like they're going to get some time to potentially think about this one. They do not have to run a play. And it looks like they're making their way toward the sideline. We'll switch sides in Colleyville with a big 4th down and 1 upcoming when we come back. The end of the first quarter, no score, but Colleyville at the doorstep here from Burleson ISD Stadium. It's the Panthers and the Elks. No score after a quarter of action on Panther Friday night on Tradio. The Colleyville Heritage Panthers, 4th and goal to go. Ball set up at the 2-yard line as teams switch sides. Start of the second quarter. And Colleyville looking to punch it in. They put up 36 points last week, winning 36-26 against Mansfield Summit. And Bodie Weaver, handoff to Gerard Wiley. No, he faked everybody out, took it himself, and ran into the end zone on 4th down and goal to go from the 2. Bodie Weaver punches it in on the first play of the second quarter, and the Panthers are on the board. PAT is up, and it is through, converted by Landon Dressel. An 80-yard drive on the second drive of the game for Colleyville. And the Panthers take a 7-0 lead early in the second quarter. So Colleyville strikes first. And Bodie Weaver and this Colleyville Heritage offense really getting a lot of help. They had a 15-yard personal foul that extended a Bodie Weaver run on 3rd and 8. That got them close to the red zone, and they're able to convert on a pair of 4th downs deep in Elks territory. And Bodie Weaver finishes it off with a 2-yard touchdown run. This second quarter brought to you by Compass Church. That extra point was brought to you by Unified Health Advisors Health Insurance Agency as we get ready for our kickoff, brought to you by Texas Live. 80 yards, 20 plays for Colleyville, and they punch it in on a 2-yard touchdown run from Bodie Weaver. his 5th rushing touchdown of the season, as the Panthers are set to kick this one off from the 40-yard line. Presented to you by Texas Live. Ryan Zucker has it teed up after Landon Dressel converted the PAT. Colleyville, after falling behind 14-0 a week ago, wanting to find ways to start quick. A 3-and-out on their opening series, but a huge 80-yard, 20-play drive capped off by a 2-yard touchdown. So Burleson set to get the ball for a second time. Zucker boots it through the end zone, and a touchback will set up the Elks at the 25-yard line. Burleson, they were able to pick up a pair of first downs on their opening drive, but it ended in a punt after 10 plays, though, that they put together, and they stalled right at midfield to give the Panthers the ball back. They started at the 20 and drove it all the way down the field. A lot on the ground with Gerard Wiley. Bodie Weaver with a big run, a 15-yard penalty as well to help them out. And they punch it in from point blank as Bodie Weaver runs it in from 2 yards out. And here is a completion to the near side, again going to Zachary Alford. And the tackle is made by Hayden West. A pickup on the play of about 4 yards. 2nd and 6 awaits for the Elks here in the second quarter, early in the second quarter of action here from Burleson ISD Stadium. 2nd and 6 from the 29-yard line. And a handoff to Jackson, being met quickly in the backfield. It's the freshman Isaiah Omar who comes in to make the tackle. A TFL for the freshman, and it is a 3rd down and 6. Big number 89, Isaiah Omar, coming up big. He got called up from the junior varsity squad midway through the season. And speaking with head football coach Jerry Edwards, as a false start is called against the Elks to make matters worse and make this 3rd down more challenging. And said, hey, you called up Isaiah Omar, just a freshman, the only freshman on this varsity roster. Is he going to play? And he said, yes. We wouldn't call him up if he wasn't going to, and he really impressed the coaching staff. And you see him out there starting, and he makes a big TFL, combined with a false start, sets up a 3rd and 12 for the Elks from their own 23-yard line. Shot down the field. It's incomplete. They were looking down the middle, but in coverage was Dadrian Gaines, able to make the play, switching to number 4 midway through the year. And that'll force the Elks to punt on their 2nd consecutive possession to start this game. Jaden Hernandez, the junior receiver, the intended target. And Colleyville on 4th and 12. They'll get the ball back as the Elks are set up to punt this one. From their own 23-yard line, Isaiah Omar coming up with a big tackle for loss. And punt is off from Bruder. And picked up by Burgess just across the 40-yard line. And he runs out of play toward midfield. So solid field position for Colleyville. Their 3rd drive awaits, leading 7-0. They'll start right around midfield, 10:22 to go. In this second quarter of action, brought to you by Compass Church here on Panther Friday Night on Tradio. Glad you're with us this evening. Will Connerly here with you, alongside Trey Bell and the entire Tradio crew. Let us know where you're watching from in the comments on YouTube. We'll be sure to give you a shout out throughout the duration of this broadcast. 1st and 10 for Colleyville. From the 50-yard line, Bodie Weaver in the shotgun trips out to the far side. 3 on the defensive front, and flag flies before Colleyville can get a play off. It looks like they'll have to back up 5 yards on a false start. So Colleyville has to move back. Jaden Sharma now comes in at offensive line. Chandler Sampson checks out after the penalty. Colleyville set up with trips out to the far side. Three on the front for the Elks. Bodie Weaver quick to pass. Screen out to Nick Wankambi. And he turns up the field, gets to about the 50-yard line. Just across midfield. And that is a good gain of 6 to set up 2nd and 9. Trying to erase the 5-yard penalty to start the drive. Weaver with a give off to Bryce Abram, and he gets to the second level, up to about the 45-yard line. A couple nice carries for Abram this evening. So 3rd and 4 for Colleyville from the 44-yard line. Bodie Weaver hand off to Abram again. Turns up the field, and he's going to be stopped up a yard short of the line to gain, setting up a 4th and 1 from the 41-yard line. Colleyville with no indication to not go for this one. Certainly 4-down territory on this area of the field. We've already converted on 2 4th downs tonight. Boxes loaded for the Elks. Bodie Weaver, quick give, and they're not going to get it. Weaver tried to give it off quickly there to the man in the backfield, Dax Hebeson, and they're unable to pick up the 4th and short. That gives the Elks the ball back at their own 42-yard line. So a handoff on the first play for the Elks as they take over on a turnover on downs as Colleyville's unable to convert on 4th and 1 in Elks territory. And they get the ball back. No gain on the initial run on 1st down. As Colleyville has done a good job of bottling up the run here in this first half. 3rd drive for Burleson. Their first 2 ended with a punt. 2nd and 10 from the 42. Sparks calls for the snap, throws it out, trying to hit his running back leaking out of the backfield, but Nathan Jackson, the junior, can't make the catch, and that sets up 3rd down. Third and 10. Sparks steps up in the pocket, and he gets tackled. Ball is picked up as well. Here goes Dax Hebeson down the sideline. Touchdown, scoop and score, Colleyville. And the defense for the 2nd consecutive week puts points on the board. A flag is down on the play. Make that 2 of them. On 3rd and long, Sparks try to make a play. The ball gets wrestled out, and Dax Hebeson takes it to the house, but let's wait and see. A flag might erase this one. Just having a nose for the football is what this Colleyville defense has continued to do, forcing turnovers. But we await the flag. So Colleyville getting flagged for a blindside block on the return, which takes away a scoop and score by Dax Hebeson, who on that previous series with Colleyville on offense was the one who got the rock on 4th and 1 and couldn't convert the first down. He recovers the fumble, and Colleyville has a 1st and 10 from the 42 as the block takes away the defensive score. Bodie Weaver, with plenty of time in the pocket, is able to hook up there with Blake Wendler, the junior tight end, in tight coverage, and it gets the ball up to the 37-yard line. Pickup of about 5, 2nd and 4, await 7:21 to go in the second quarter. Weaver steps up in the pocket, bursts of speed, and he gets the first down and some. The second time Weaver's moved the chains tonight with his legs. Quick decisions with the pressure coming, and once the pocket gets flushed, he makes another play with his legs. Colleyville trying to find their rhythm ahead of the postseason. A spot already clinched, but a victory tonight would clinch a home playoff game and a number 2 seed here in this district. Weaver shot toward the end zone. Graves almost makes the great catch at the 5-yard line, but it's incomplete. Tight coverage down the field on the senior Luke Graves, and that sets up 2nd and 10 from the 29. Screen out to Samir Johnson, and he turns up the field, gets up to the 23-yard line, a pickup of about 6. That's going to set up 3rd down. And about 4 yards to go here for Colleyville. With 6.5 to go and ticking here in the second quarter. 3rd down for Colleyville. Pressure comes. Bodie Weaver looks toward the end zone. Samir Johnson had his man. Too long, though, for the sophomore. And Colleyville cannot convert, and they'll face a 4th and 4 from the 23. From about the 40-yard line on their previous series, faced a 4th and 1, decided to go for it, gave it off to Dax Hebeson, and he was stopped in the backfield for a turnover on downs. Now it's 4th and 4 from the 23-yard line. Colleyville going for it again. Weaver steps up in the pocket. Pressure comes. He's going to take it himself. Slides down at the 15-yard line. They're going to mark him actually shy of that where his knee went down, but got enough to move the sticks, and a fresh set of downs for Colleyville as Bodie Weaver, for the 3rd time in the first half, picks up a 1st down on a critical 3rd down conversion with his legs. 1st and 10, Colleyville in the red zone at the 18-yard line. He calls his receivers in with Wiley in the pistol, has a big run inside the 5. Gerard Wiley with space on the left side of the offensive line all night long. This time it's Parker Leatherwood applying the lead block, and really the receivers getting involved in that action to open up the holes for Gerard Wiley. Every time that he's been lined up at the pistol behind Bodie Weaver and that they've brought both receivers out wide in, it's been a run. Let's see if that trend continues as Colleyville goes to it again. And it will be Weaver who keeps it himself, looks toward the end zone. It's a touchdown. Blake Wendler from 3 yards out. And Colleyville scores. Points off the turnover get put on the board. They recover a fumble on 3rd and 10. Dax Hebeson got it. And Bodie Weaver accounts for his 2nd touchdown of the night. Ran for the 1st, throws for the 2nd. And Blake Wendler is able to make the catch for the touchdown from 3 yards out. Landon Dressel converts the PAT, and Colleyville with a 14-0 lead with 5:26 to go in the second quarter. We'll be right back. You're watching Panther Friday Night on Tradio.
The clock is ticking. It's last call on 24s at Classic Chevrolet. As the #1 dealer in the world, a huge selection of 24s remain with model year-end savings, like new Silverados, 14 grand off MSRP. Or 0% APR is back. Time is running out to get model year-end savings before they're sold. New Silverados, 14 grand off MSRP will not last. Visit ClassicChevrolet.com now.
That's what I was just checking. Just look at that. I can get all the way to the other side and have that guy almost. Yeah, that's what I was checking. That's what I was having. I was
Back with you on Panther Friday Night on Tradio Colleyville. They get great field position after recovering a fumble. They make the Elks pay for it. Driving down the field, it was a short field at that. Starting in plus territory after the fumble recovery by Dax Ebeson. And Bodie Weaver throws for a touchdown. Hauled in by Blake Wendler from 3 yards out. His just 5th reception of the year. But his 2nd touchdown has been a target in the red area for Colleyville. 8 plays, 42 yards, 2:16 off the clock on that touchdown scoring drive as Bodie Weaver tosses his 15th touchdown of the season for the Panthers. And a 1st and 10 for Burleson. They start at the 25 after the touchback. That kickoff brought to you by Texas Live and the Landon Dressel PAT conversion, presented to you by Unified Health Advisors Health Insurance Agency. Compass Church bringing you this second quarter with 5:14 to go. In the frame will be the Elks, who go for a handoff, and Udeba is right there. Dax Ebeson comes in to make the stop as well. And the junior running back, Nathan Jackson, just picks up a yard. 2nd and 9 awaits.
Yard on the carry to the 26, 2nd down and 9.
Sparks looking to change the play at the line of scrimmage. Colleyville's defense has really stepped up and looked sharp tonight. 2 punts and then a turnover for the first 3 drives for the Elks. Sparks looking to the outside initially, then hits his man running across the 30-yard line. Lloyd comes in to make the tackle, the linebacker at the 30-yard line. And no, they mark him actually up about to the 32-yard line.
Yeah, you should be able to zoom in all the way to the other side now.
On the completion out to the near side, Sparks had to get rid of it. Was patient enough in the pocket despite the pressure coming.
It's tighter, right? Cool.
And it sets up a 3rd and 3. Football at the 32.
That's it.
Andrew Sparks with the hard count a couple times. Changes the play at the line of scrimmage, calls for the snap, looks near side initially, and being forced out of play after the completion, a yard shy of the line to gain. The wide receiver, Christian Alcado. Aldico making the catch to set up 4th and 1. Big play here for the Elks, trying to parlay a score here at the end of the first half. They'll get the ball after deferring the opening kickoff to the second half. 4th and 1 from the 34-yard line.
On both sides, it's pretty much full all the way to the other stairs.
And hand off to Jackson right up the gut, and Colleyville in there to make the stop. Darian Lloyd with a big-time gap that was created by that defensive front, and the linebacker there to finish off Jackson and force a turnover on downs. Colleyville once again going to be starting in great field position. The second consecutive drive that ends in a turnover for Burleson. They lost a fumble. Colleyville started at the 42. Thought they returned it for a touchdown. A legal block in the back, blindside block. put Colleyville at the 42. They drive it down the field and score, and now they get it back, forcing the Elks over on downs, and they'll start here at the 34-yard line. Bodie Weaver with Bryce Abraham in the backfield, looks back to pass and falls down in the backfield. Big sack is made there by Burleson. In there on the action, Lawson Blanchard, the defensive end, and the sophomore really just came into the vicinity of Bodie Weaver, and Weaver hit the deck. A wise decision to not take the hit, but it sets up 2nd and long here for Colleyville. A loss of 7 on the play as the Panthers back up to their own 42-yard line, leading by a pair of touchdowns with 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. Weaver, a pitch out to Bryce Abraham, looking to get to the edge, and he gains a couple yards up to the 40. A pickup of 2 sets up 3rd and long here for the Panthers. So 3rd down and about 15 yards to go. Here for Colleyville, trying to rebound from the sack, and the Panthers, no, the Elks are going to take a timeout. With 2:20 left in this second quarter, the Elks burn their first timeout of the half to talk things over. Colleyville leading 14-0, facing a 3rd and 15 from the Elks' 40-yard line. You're certainly in a position where you don't have to pick up all 15 on this play. You do get a completion, though, and keep the clock moving. You do force the Elks to use another timeout. Then they just have one. You presume, depending on how many yards you get, you could potentially go for it on this area of the field or try to really pin the Elks deep. You saw at the end of the game last week, you thought Colleyville in a situation on 3rd down, end of the game, different scenario. And leading by 8 points. They decided to throw. It resulted in an interception. Summit got the ball, and they had it picked off. Thought it was a touchback, got it at the 1, and then Colleyville got a safety to end the game, and they won by 10 points. Different scenario here, but 3rd and long. Here for Colleyville, 15 yards to go. They're set up at the 40-yard line. We'll see what Bodie Weaver and this Colleyville offense could do here. Weaver rolls out to the right, looking downfield for a moment. Now he'll run back over to his left. Plenty of space in this area of the field. Looking down the field, fires it off to Luke Graves, but it looks like he was clearly beyond the line of scrimmage. An illegal forward pass. Certainly looks like the call here as a penalty marker flew as soon as Bodie Weaver released that ball. Good way to extend that play, freelance and hook up with the senior on the sideline, but does not look like it's going to stand. As Weaver, I mean, you have some gray area with the line of scrimmage. Your whole body has to be beyond it, but it was pretty clear he was across the 40-yard line when he released that ball, and that's what the penalty marker indicates. And that is on Colleyville and is the case. And so it is going to be 4th down. Here for the Panthers, they are going to punt, so a tough break. Had the right idea to extend the play and do whatever he can to try to get a completion. But now Colleyville will punt, and the defense has looked great. They'll try to stand with Colleyville giving the ball back to Burleson with 2 minutes to go in this first half and a pair of timeouts to work with. And the Elks will try to move the ball. They have not done that at all here this evening. Zuckert's punt bounces to the 5-yard line, and the return brought just across the 10 as tumbling down to the turf, Zervin Garza on the bring back, and it brings up a long field to go for Burleson. And this evening, Burleson, they haven't even taken a snap in Colleyville territory. So for Colleyville's defense, they've done a good job tonight of limiting Burleson. They've gone punt, fumble and then turnover on downs on their first 4 series. This is their 5th of this first half, and they've yet to even get into Colleyville territory. Now with a 1st and 10 from their own 11, they're tasked with driving down the length of the field. With under 2 minutes to go in this first half of action, they do have 2 timeouts to work with. And it is a handoff on the initial play, a keeper that is to the quarterback, and Andrew Sparks has nowhere to go but backwards. A loss on the play of about 4 yards as Colleyville was able to read that one well. They burn a timeout as they stop the clock with 1:44 to go in the second. They have a chance in this situation too. If Burleson's going to lay up and run the ball, that's going to give Colleyville a good opportunity. Okay, you burn your timeouts, but if you're not able to get some yardage and try to flip the field in any scenario, it gives Colleyville an opportunity with 1:44 left in this second quarter. You think that if they're burning a timeout on first down, they say, okay, we're going to make you pass, incompletion. That's good for us. Working with the clock here. We'll see how Colleyville approaching, but the timeout clearly indicating that, hey, 14 points, not enough for our liking in this first half, and they want to try to tack on more before the intermission. Second down and about 14 yards to go here with 1:44 left in this Compass Church second quarter of action, with the Panthers leading 14-0. Garza in the gun with 2 receivers split to either side, second and long. And the Elks go with a handoff to Jackson. And he has nowhere to go, just in the backfield until Williams is able to wrap him up right at the line of scrimmage. Just the fact that they gained maybe a half yard on the play was something that was impressive, because it looked like Jackson was stopped for a big loss. Got back to the initial line of scrimmage. It's still going to be a third down. And you can clearly see Burleson not wanting to throw the football in this situation. There hasn't been a ton of penalties this evening. The biggest one tonight, at least of consequence, was on Colleyville's first scoring drive. Bodie Weaver on a 3rd and 7 ran it for the first down, and then 15 yards was tacked on after that to allow Colleyville to be set up in the red zone. They convert a couple of fourth downs. Weaver is able to run it in himself on the first play of this second quarter, and then later on in the quarter, it's Wendler who catches a touchdown, his second of the season. And Bodie Weaver's thrown for a score, run for a score, and the Panthers lead 14-0. And again, they have really limited the Elks to nothing offensively, yet to even get into Colleyville territory. And they're backed up right now inside their own 10-yard line for a 3rd and long. Colleyville does have 1 timeout. They burned their first 2 on the first 2 downs of this one. Big home playoff game on the line tonight. Colleyville trying to do all they can to clinch that this evening, and they give it back off to Jackson. The football's loose. Colleyville hops on it, and it's Matthew Udemba who comes up with the pigskin. Number 28, Matthew Udemba, the defensive end, hopped on the football. And you think about Colleyville wanting to put points on the board. They're in prime position to do just that as they recover their second fumble of the first half. And they're set up in goal to go from the 9-yard line. So the Elks tonight punt on their first 2 drives, and their next 3 lost fumble, turnover on downs, and then another lost fumble. So first and goal from the 9. Weaver back to pass, and he gets hit down in the backfield, and that's picked up there by Burleson. They're going to try to run it all the way back. Gerard Wiley makes a touchdown-saving tackle as it was picked up and run all the way back by Lawson Blanchard, the sophomore. A flag comes in after the play, and this is going to be the deepest the Elks have been tonight. What a wild series of events. Back-to-back plays, lost fumbles. Colleyville recovers a fumble. They're set up at 1st and goal to go from the 9. Pressure comes. Bodie Weaver loses the football. It's brought all the way back by Blanchard into the red zone, and then a flag flies after the play. And it looks like perhaps it's an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Burleson on the celebration of the return, which is a huge break for Colleyville. That will allow the Elks, or force the Elks, to go back to the Panthers 34, still the best position that they've been in tonight, as this will be the first snap that they take in Colleyville territory this evening, with the flag down on the play.
After the play, a dead ball. Sports out.
So unsportsmanlike conduct, but a huge play made by Lawson Blanchard. Came up with the football. Bodie Weaver getting wrestled to the turf. He loses the football. After Colleyville was set up in great position, they had the Elks pinned deep, forced the turnover, and used their timeouts to give them time to score. And they get into the best field position possible, but fumble it on the next play. So a 1st and 10 from the 34 for the Elks. They hook it up to the outside for a short gain, as the Elks have 2 timeouts to work with a minute to go. And for as much as Colleyville's defense has played great, if the Elks can go score at the end of this first half and make it a touchdown game at halftime, they get the ball to start the second half. Huge plays coming up here. 2nd and 7, ball at the 31. Nathan Jackson is the running back, and the quarterback, Andrew Sparks, calls out some signals to the offensive line. Now looks over the middle, and the ball is caught. Tackle made by Dadrian Gaines. After the reception's connected to Brody Lott, another quick completion to the outside. This is the best the Elks offense has operated tonight, much thanks to a fumble recovery that got them in plus territory, but another completion to Landon Smith sets up a 2nd down and 5 inside the red zone. Elks looking toward the end zone, and it's incomplete. Bryson Burgess in the coverage, as they were looking for Landon Smith in the end zone. So 30 seconds left in this second quarter. Burleson now facing a 3rd and 5 from the 18-yard line with 30 seconds left on the clock in the first half. Sparks back to pass, throws it over the middle, looking toward the end zone. It's a touchdown. He hooks up with Landon Smith from 18 yards out, and just like that, Burleson's back in the ball game. They show nothing on offense all first half, but score from 18 yards out thanks to a big fumble recovery from Lawson Blanchard, and Landon Smith catches the touchdown from 18 yards out. Andrew Sparks put it right on the money, and they'll try to make it a 7-point game with this PAT. Gavin Kean is able to convert the extra point, and it's 14-7 with 24 seconds left in the second quarter. What a big momentum swing right there. If you're just joining us, Colleyville got on the board first. Their second drive, Bodie Weaver orchestrated a big drive for Colleyville. They drive it down the field, and it was one of the best drives of the season for Colleyville. They go 80 yards, 20 plays, and cap it off with a 2-yard touchdown run, and they were forced to convert on 2 4th downs during that drive. Then they follow it up, they recover a fumble, and they score again to take a 14-0 lead, and they are at goal to go looking to take a 21-0 lead if they can punch it in the end zone. Instead, lose the football. Big fumble recovery there by Lawson Blancard as Weaver lost the football. The Elks took it all the way into Colleyville territory on the return. The only time they've been in plus territory tonight, and they go 5 plays, 34 yards in just 45 seconds, and they find the end zone. It's 14-7 after the Landon Smith touchdown reception from 18 yards out to make this a one-score game. First touchdown catch of the season for Landon Smith, had 16 grabs for 117 yards coming in. And the kickoff goes into the end zone, so Colleyville will take over on the touchback with 24 seconds left here in this 14-7 ball game. As Colleyville's up by a score, Burleson will get the ball to start the second half. But a huge swing. Colleyville knocking on the door after a fumble recovery. Goal to go from the 9, looking and hunting for a 21-zip lead. Instead, lose the football. Burleson recovers it, returns it deep into Colleyville territory, and 5 plays later find themselves in the end zone to make it a one-score game. Big run here by Bryce Abram across the 40-yard line. He picks up 15 yards on the carry. Flag comes down on the play in the backfield. Looks like this one's going to be coming back against the Panthers. And at least at this point, Burleson does have 2 timeouts. But with just 18 seconds left, you'd fully expect Colleyville to run the football again. And both teams probably just going to settle for the locker room. At this point, we'll see. We'll see what Colleyville does. Burleson with a pair of timeouts. Colleyville with 1. 18 seconds left. Colleyville with the run out to Bryce Abram, and he breaks another one off. A nice gain up to the 25-yard line as he picks up about 10 yards, but both teams looking content. Maybe Colleyville's going to run a final play, but looks like both teams are going to go to the locker room, as that is the conclusion of the first half of action. It's been fun in this first half here at Burleson ISD Stadium. 14-7, Colleyville leads. Burleson to receive the opening kickoff to start the third quarter. We'll have it for you coming up next. It's halftime. Colleyville leads 14-7 on Panther Friday night here on Tradio.
Tonight's show will begin with the heart of the bell, the proud Pacers state and national champion, Colleyville Heritage Varsity Premier Panteras Dance tonight. Panteras Social Committee is President Barry Sport, Vice President Emily Appleton, Spirit Leader Audrey Kerr, Chair Anna Stack, and Historian Al Blanchard. line officers are Junior Lieutenant Danny Heisey, Captain Reese Ford, First Lieutenant Samantha Hernandez, Junior Lieutenant London Morillo, and Senior Lieutenant Ava Hall. Pantera of the Week is freshman Paisley Carpio. Spirit Girl of the Week is freshman Mason Morelli. And Pantera Heart of the Veil is junior Julia Mason. Pantera Teacher of the Week is Mr. Robert Mendoza. Pantera managers are Lauren Bellinger, Lindsay Shepard, and Sophia Shore. Tonight's performance is the Palm routine to Call Me. Pantera is under the direction of Paris Band, assisted by Haley Wood. Panteras would like to thank our title sponsor, Seven Therapy Company, our premier sponsor, Chick-fil-A Luffield, David Martin and Sun Roofing, and Max Health, and our platinum sponsor, Airport Lighting System, Costa Vida, and Terry Costa. Please put your hands together and welcome to the field the Colleyville Heritage High School Marching Band. Freshman of the Week, Cooper Johnson. Member of the Week, Jeremy Kwong. And the section of the week are the tubas. The Heritage Show is entitled Metal and includes Machine from Symptom Number 5 by Fort Williams, Asphalt Cocktail by John McKay, Dan Movement by Phyllis Sparky, Iron Man, Black Sabbath, Bells, Koski by Michael Daughtry, and the original music by Brett King. Colleyville High School is proud to present the drum majors Madeline Shepard, Andy Bott, Caleb Taylor, Elizabeth Trotman, and the Colleyville Heritage Panther Band.
can't even see the cars.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Cairo Heritage High School Panther Band. The band is under the direction of William Ray. Assistant director includes Nick Bodette, Jack Zeller, Carson Beer, and Dr. Martin Dickerson.
Show me how you wanna feel, guide me with your hands. Take what you need from this, and keep it from your friends. Show me how you wanna feel.
call it the big time. Got your name in lights. Now you're gonna shine. Got 'em in your sights.
You wanna be great now. You're just trying to find a way out. I don't wanna tell you how to live, but I just don't want you to miss. And I don't mean to scare you. I want you to live, and I dare you to give this life all you have. Yeah, all you have. We are legendary. We are not ordinary. We are legendary. You will remember our names. We are legendary. Living extraordinary. We are legendary. You will remember our names. There's no way out of this. This life is all you get. One shot to take. Don't miss, just make. Don't get it twisted. We're on a mission to live life legendary. Yeah, we are legendary. We are legendary. We are not ordinary. We are legendary. You will remember our names. We are legendary. Living extraordinary. We are legendary. You will remember our names. Thin our blood. You're one of us. You're one of us. There's strength in our blood. You're one of us. You're one of us. We are legendary. We are not ordinary. We are legendary. You will remember our names. We are legendary. Living extraordinary. We are legendary. You will remember our names. You will remember our names. You will remember our names.
We're back with you here on Panther Friday night on Radio 14-7. Colleyville leads at halftime. Colleyville got on the board first. It was a Bodie Weaver touchdown run, a huge 20-play, 80-yard drive that allowed the Panthers to strike first. They then added on another touchdown after forcing a turnover, and it was a Bodie Weaver touchdown pass to Blake Wendler from 3 yards out. Colleyville really good in the red zone on their first 2 opportunities. However, they got it for a third time, up 14-0 after forcing another turnover. The first 5 drives for Burleson, they really got nothing on offense. A couple first downs on their first drive, forced a punt from the 50, but then punt their first 2 drives. And then a lost fumble, turnover on downs, and another lost fumble. That second lost fumble toward the tail end of the first half, it gave Colleyville the football, first and goal to go from the 9, leading 14-0. And you're thinking at this point, a lot of Panther fans, okay, punch this one in, and we have ourselves a 21-0 lead. But the tide turned pretty quickly because on the first play from that series for Colleyville, Bodie Weaver lost the football on the fumble. It was picked up by Lawson Blancard, and the sophomore defensive end just ran it all the way back, and it set up Burleson in an excellent position to put their first points on the board of the game, and they were set up at the 34-yard line, and that was after a penalty backed them up. They were even deeper than that on the return, but even from the 34, 5 plays later, Burleson scores quickly, and they do it from going quickly, and that's going to be interesting to see if Philip Tanner, first-year head coach for Burleson, again, we mentioned it in the pregame, but he's their 3rd head coach in as many years. A lot of turnover on the head coaching position for Burleson as they're trying to turn their program around. And again, they're eliminated from playoff contention. You could say, not a ton to play for tonight, but it doesn't look like it with the fight they put on the field to end that first half. And on senior night as well, you know they want to show up, especially for a team that wasn't picked to do much. They have picked up a couple district wins so far this season, and that exceeded a lot of people's expectations despite missing the playoffs in one of the toughest districts in the state. They're showing some fight here tonight in Colleyville, fumbling in the red zone to give the ball to Burleson at the tail end of the first half. They punch it in to make it 14-7. It was an 18-yard touchdown catch from Landon Smith that put the score at just a touchdown deficit before halftime. And then Colleyville, a couple runs, they dissolved the clock, and the teams went to the locker room getting ready for the second half. Burleson will start with the football here in the second half. So a lot of great action this evening. Bodie Weaver's accounted for a couple touchdowns. For Colleyville, it's plain and simple. If they win tonight, they're the number 2 seed in 3-5A D2. At least they will get a home playoff game for sure. They do have a shot at the 1 seed, but it's not in their control. They would have to have Argyle lose their next 2 and then have Colleyville win these last 2. And let's be honest, not very likely that this Eagles team is going to go down with when you look at their remaining schedule. We'll try to get you some remaining scores there as well, but when we look at this overall, if Colleyville wins tonight, a home playoff game, you can book it at Mustang Panther Stadium here in the postseason. So that is what we look forward to in the second half. A lot of drama, a lot of craziness at that tail end of the first half from Colleyville looking to take a 21-0 lead in the red zone with the ball to fumbling, giving it back to Burleson, and they take their first snaps of the night in plus territory, and their offense goes quickly and scores, and that's the point we were getting to is, are you going to see some more quick-paced offense? Because when they hurried up, went quick, got quick hits to the outside, for a Panther defense that loads the box, I mean, make no bones about it, Jerry Edwards in this group, they want to stop the run, and they haven't been shy about showing that in this first half. They bottled up the run at a really high level, but when that box was loaded and numbers were spread out and a hurry-up by the Elks, that allowed them to operate with some efficiency and certainly a sense of urgency that allowed them to get their only scoring drive, which was their final drive of the first half, and they'll get the ball to start this second half. So the outcome of this game certainly still hanging in the balance. Big drive coming up for Burleson to start this second half, and you would think that Burleson is going to feel pretty good in that locker room. You're sure that Philip Tanner, first-year head coach, tried to encourage this bunch, tried to get this bunch fired up. Hey, you're down by 7 to the number 2 seed in this district. What can you do on this opening drive of the second half? Probably a different message on the other side across the way for the Panthers, as Jerry Edwards likely trying to fire this team up and say, we've been here before. We're up by 7. Can we go close this game out? The last 2 weeks, the Panthers have been excellent in the second half, and they will try to do that once again. So a lot on the line. Burleson to start with the football, and the second half of action getting underway in just moments as Ryan Zuckert has the ball teed up. And we're about to stay underway. Drama unfolding here at Burleson ISD Stadium. And the kickoff is through the end zone. It is a touchback as we start the third quarter. A lot of fun, a lot of drama ensuing. We're glad you're with us here tonight on Panther Friday Night on Tradio alongside executive producer Trey Bell. I'm Will Connerly, and the Burleson Elks will start at the 25 down by a touchdown, and they'll try to parlay a score at the tail end of the first half to see if they can't start the third quarter off with success as well. In that first half, we saw 3 punts, 3 fumbles, and 3 touchdowns. First play of the second half for Burleson, it's a completion out to their running back, Nathan Jackson, and he has a solid gain of about 10 yards to move the chains on the first play. Jackson did not have any room to run out of the backfield, but they got the ball into their hands of their talented junior running back on the screen, and he picks up the first down up to the 35-yard line. So a 1st and 10 from the 35 for Burleson. Sparks looking here to the near side. It's incomplete. West was in the coverage, and that'll make it 2nd and 10. Ball at the 35-yard line. Second and 10. Sparks fires a fastball right down the middle, and it is connected on a really nice completion in the tight window for the sophomore quarterback. And that makes it a 3rd and 1 upcoming here for the Elks, trying to pick up their second first down of this opening series of the second half. And Sparks will take it himself. And it looks like he lost the football for a moment. He did. And coming up with a turnover for the second consecutive week, Joseph Nisbet gets on the football. And for a drive that looked good, it was Sparks who loses his second fumble of the game. The second fumble of the game. And let's take another look at this one. Joseph Nisbet coming up. He had an interception last week, and he gets on the fumble here this week. Short action there. Ball gets out. It's forced and recovered by Nisbet. And what a big play after his INT last week. He comes through with a fumble recovery here to give Colleyville the football in Elks territory. So for this Panthers defense, they now have recovered 3 fumbles here this evening. The third turnover created by the Colleyville defense tonight gives them the ball to upend the opening drive of the second half for Burleson, and trailing 14-0 to put a score on the board at the end of the first half to then start with the ball in the second half and moving toward midfield. It's the quarterback Andrew Sparks who coughs it up. And Joseph Nisbet, who was battling with injuries, the coaching staff was careful about putting him in certain situations and said, when your number is called, make plays. And the second consecutive week, he's created a turnover. 3rd and 6 for Colleyville. It'll be Bodie Weaver who keeps it himself, twists and turns across the 40-yard line. That'll set up a 4th down as Bodie Weaver picked up just a couple yards on that rushing attempt. It'll make it 4th and about 3 yards to go on this 4th down in this 3rd quarter. Ryan Zuckert out to punt for Colleyville, and they want to pin the Elks deep. Surprised that they're trying to do that. Instead, it's a fake. It's Dax Hebeson who makes the catch. And speaking of surprise, the fake punt gets Colleyville in the red zone. Dax Hebeson, right place, right time, and the fake punt works to perfection. I believe it was Madden Williams who tossed that out of the backfield and got it to Dax Hebeson. A flag in the backfield, though. It was against the defense and declined, so Colleyville's drive stays alive. And for as aggressive as Jerry Edwards has been this season, I think all Panther fans probably knew something had to be up his sleeve. Going for it on 4th and 3 just seemed like pretty much a guarantee from that part of the field. Said, oh no, we're going to fake a punt, and it worked out. Dax Hebeson with the connection, and now Colleyville a 1st and 10 from inside the 15-yard line. Bodie Weaver handoff to the outside. Flag comes in the backfield on the carry. There to Gerard Wiley. A couple flags down on the play. We'll see what the markers are as they sort all of that out. But a huge 4th down conversion Colleyville has converted. They did twice on their first scoring drive on 4th down to punch it in from 2 yards out. They then went for it on a 4th down on the next drive, got turned over on downs, and they're on 4th and 3. The fake punt. So offsetting penalties on either side. That's going to have Colleyville replay this 1st down. As the Panthers are in the red zone after Dax Hebeson catches a pass. Looked like it was Madden Williams on the pass on a fake punt. Ran right down the seam and a well-designed play by the special teams unit. Bodie Weaver fires toward the end zone, and that ball is hauled in. Samir Johnson makes the catch in the end zone. Bodie Weaver put it right on the money, and the sophomore wideout makes the catch from about 15 yards out, and Colleyville makes it a 20-7 lead. As the second time in this game, they turn it over, start in plus territory, and go down to make the Elks pay for the lost fumble. Samir Johnson on the touchdown reception. Landon Dressel converts the PAT, and Colleyville takes advantage. They create their 3rd turnover of the night on the opening drive from the Elks in the second half, and we will take another look at that play. Samir Johnson on the touchdown. Sophomore wide receiver involved in the action in how this 5-play, 46-yard drive. Colleyville starting around midfield after the fumble recovery by Joseph Nisbet. Back-to-back weeks, he's created turnovers. And here is the touchdown. Bodie Weaver gets it out to Samir Johnson and makes a beautiful back shoulder catch in the end zone to give Colleyville a now 21-7 lead. So a fake punt leads to a score, along with a fumble recovery from Joseph Nisbet, and the Panthers back to a 2-touchdown lead. Samir Johnson, his second touchdown catch of the year. His first came all the way back in week 2 against Richland. A 21-7 advantage for the Panthers, 8:28 on the clock in the 3rd. And Ryan Zuckert to send off the ensuing kick, brought to you by Texas Live. That Landon Dressel converted point after Brought to you by Unified Health Advisors, Health Insurance Agency. Shout out to all the great sponsors that make this Tradio production and Panther Friday Night possible. Panthers up by 14 points. Burleson back on the field. They showed some life at the end of the first half, scoring a touchdown to make it 14-7 at the intermission, but coughed it up for their third fumble and turnover of the night. To give Colleyville the football back on their opening drive of the second half, the Panthers go down and score a Samir Johnson touchdown. As the pass is complete out to Braden Bruder. A pickup of about 8 yards. MFI Roofing brings you this third quarter. Second down and 2. Football at the 33-yard line. In this third quarter of action, Sparks drops back, steps up in the pocket, looks to run. Nisbeck comes into the backfield, and Colleyville was hunting for the football. Sparks unwilling to go down to the turf, but stopped with the forward progress as 3 Panthers met him in the backfield, led by Joseph Nisbet, who's making some plays on that defensive line here in this second half. Big number 42 for the Colleyville Heritage Panthers. Junior linebacker creating some pressure at the line of scrimmage in this second half. Third down, 8 yards to go. From the 27, Sparks stepping up in the pocket again. Colleyville brings the pressure, and Evan Ayeta comes up with a big-time play in the backfield. What he's been known for to do time and time again. Such a tough matchup for an interior offensive lineman, and he broke through the pressure on 3rd and long, got to the quarterback, and Colleyville's pass rush comes alive. Big number 99's made plays all year long on the defensive line for the Panthers. And comes up with the sack there to force a 4th and 13 and a Burleson Elks punt, as Colleyville will get the football back. Leading by 14. They took a 14-0 lead. Burleson scored at the end of the first half to make it 14-7 as Bryson Burgess makes the fair catch at the 45. Colleyville on Burleson's opening drive of the second half. They forced their 3rd turnover, 3rd fumble lost tonight by Burleson. And Colleyville is able to score. Bodie Weaver puts it on a dime. He's accounted for 3 touchdowns tonight, all of them for the Panthers. 2 from the arm of Bodie Weaver. And he rushed the first score in with his legs. He and the rest of this Panthers offense will head on out to the 45-yard line for a 1st and 10 for the Panthers, up by 14. Approaching the midway point of this third quarter. Weaver handoff right side, gives it off to Bryce Abraham, and he tumbles down 2 yards shy of midfield. A pickup of 3 yards on the carry by Bryce Abraham. Senior running back and the sophomore running back, Bryce Abraham and Gerard Wiley. Coming into this ballgame, they had really similar numbers. It's been pretty much a split backfield. Wiley's starter, you say, with starting the game and getting those opening series, but they really have similar levels of yards per carry and productions and yards in total this season. As Bodie Weaver looking up the field to throw, he'll just sprint up the field to the 40-yard line instead. And Weaver making it happen with his legs this evening. Another 1st down for the Panthers and a player down for Burleson.
Official timeout for injury.
Colleyville leading by 14 with 5.5 left in this third quarter. An Elks player down. Colleyville with a fresh set of downs. We'll take a break. You're watching Panther Friday Night on Tradio.
Do you have a dream of having a pool and a backyard oasis? Well, it's time to talk to the professionals at J. Caldwell Custom Pools. From new construction to remodeling to service and maintenance, J. Caldwell Custom Pools is your custom pool builder and outdoor living design expert, serving you with 2 locations, Hudson Oaks and Fort Worth. Because life is too short for ordinary backyards. Dive in and find out more at jcaldwellcustompools.com.
We're back with you on Panther Friday night on Tradio. Colleyville with the football, the 1st and 10. Modi Weaver scrambling, and he gets forced out of bounds. That timeout happened after Ty Freeman, the linebacker for Burleson, came off the field. A little bit shaken up on the play and being tended to on the sideline. 2nd and 5 yards to go for Colleyville. Football at the 45-yard line. The Panthers looking to take a 3-score lead on this possession. And Bryce Abram gets stopped up. Really nice tackle made by their leading tackler, Danya Armstrong, and the junior comes up to wrap up Bryce Abram. Stop him right in his tracks on the rush up the right side to make it 3rd down and 2. Football at the 32. Colleyville used a fake punt on 4th down to lead to their last score to go up 2 touchdowns. Here on 3rd and short, Bryce Abram slips through a hole, gets to the outside, continues to stay on his feet, and punches it in for the score. 32 yards out. Bryce Abram finds the end zone, and Colleyville's now in the driver's seat with a 3-touchdown lead. What a run by Bryce Abram. A 32-yard score and his 4th touchdown of the season. The PAT is good. Colleyville up by 21. And let's take another look at that Bryce Abram highlight reel run. Abram splits through 2 defenders running in between the tackle and the guard. The rest is history. Sprints into the end zone up the sideline from 34 yards out. And the Colleyville Heritage Panthers in control here in the 3rd quarter, leading 28-7 with 4:45 to go in the 3rd. A 6-play, 55-yard drive has put Colleyville in great position, up by 21 points. With 4:45 left in this 3rd quarter, a 55-yard drive as Colleyville forced the punt, got the ball back, drove it down. So 2 touchdowns on the first 2 drives for the Panthers here in the 2nd half. It was a huge 2nd half against Arlington Seguin a couple weeks ago. Big 2nd half against Summit a couple weeks ago. Trend similar tonight as they have scored 2 touchdowns the first 2 times they've touched the ball in the 2nd half. They now lead by 21 after being up by just a score in the intermission. So a big 32-yard touchdown run from Bryce Abram has Colleyville in the driver's seat. A lot on the line tonight. But can the Elks show some fight as they get the ball back here on their senior night? Team that's eliminated from the playoffs, a 3-5 mark this season, 2-4 in district action. But the 2nd half, after being down by just a score, all signs indicated that perhaps we had a ball game on our hands. But the Colleyville Heritage defense recovers their 3rd fumble of the game on the opening drive for Burleson in the 2nd half. They then punt on their 2nd drive, and Colleyville scores on both occasions. Big throw down the field, and it's incomplete. Intended target down the sideline, being covered by Bryson Burgess.
The pass intended for Zach Alford falls incomplete.
was the wide receiver in Zachary Alford. Burgess with good coverage. Another look at that play. Quarterback Andrew Sparks looking toward the sideline, but Bryson Burgess with great coverage. Now they try to bounce it to the outside, and they give it off to Landon Smith, and he is stopped up for a loss of a yard. Colleyville reading that edge rush with perfection, trying to get it into the hands of the senior wideout who has caught the lone touchdown for Burleson tonight. That came at the tail end of the first half. Try to get it out to the receiver on the handoff, sweep out in motion, tries to cut against the grain. Matthew Utemba applies the initial hit. Madden Williams and Dax Hebeson finish him off. Sparks on 3rd and long. Looks down the field. He's in trouble. He throws it. No intended target in the area. And it looks like there should be an intentional grounding call there. As Burleson's offense, again, the only time they've been in Colleyville territory tonight is when they returned a fumble into Colleyville territory. Their offense on their own merits has not got into Colleyville territory on any drive starting in their own territory. So that is something to look at in the second half. It's trending in a similar direction. First drive, they're right around midfield. They fumble, then they punt on their second drive. And here on their third drive, it is 4th and a mile after the intentional grounding penalty that'll give Colleyville Heritage the football here late in the third quarter of action. 4th and 27 now. So the Elks will have to punt from the shadow of their own goalpost. Braden Bruder to punt this one from his own end zone. It is off. Solid kick that bounces out of bounds around the 45-yard line. And that is where the Panthers will start, so they just need 55 yards to go to try to take a 4-touchdown lead. After the Elks punt it away for the 4th time tonight, we'll be right back. It's Panther Friday Night on Tradio.
Compass Church is for you. Join us each week to experience great music, a message that applies to your everyday life, as well as programming for your kids and students to engage on their level. Learn more at compass.church.
First and 10 for Colleyville after forcing the Elks to punt for a 4th time. A shot toward Luke Graves down the sideline at the 30, and it's incomplete. Bodie Weaver could put it in a good spot. Graves unable to haul it in. And it'll be 2nd and 10. Football at the 45-yard line. Colleyville up by 21 with the football late in the third quarter. Weaver handoff to Wiley. Wiley's run up the left side. She's had a lot of positive movement this evening, and you would think that is the way that Colleyville is going to continue to operate with a 3-touchdown lead and the football throughout the duration of the rest of the game to try to continue to shorten it. However, may not be the case on 3rd and 7. Colleyville has it a few yards shy of midfield. Elks rush 4. Weaver has plenty of time in the pocket. Throws it out to the far sideline. It is caught for a 1st down. Coming in to make the catch once again, it is Blake Wendler, who had a big catch on the 3-yard touchdown reception on Bodie Weaver's first touchdown pass of the night. He's accounted for 3 touchdowns this evening, 2 through the air and 1 on the ground. The other on the most recent drive from Bryce Abraham on a big 32-yard rush. But there is the 3rd and 7 conversion. Wendler running right past the sticks and picking up the first down. Here's Nick Wankambi on the screen. Gets a nice block for a moment from Luke Graves. Ran into him for a second. And is still able to leak out to the boundary for a pickup of a few. Getting up to the 41-yard line to make it a 2nd and 6. So Colleyville in the second half, they go for a touchdown pass and then a touchdown run, trying to make it 3 for 3 in touchdowns in the second half to drives after having just a 7-point lead at halftime. Back-to-back touchdowns has given them a 21-point advantage. It's Gerard Wiley on the carry, and he had a good lead block up the field on that left side. And applying that initial lead block, Chandler Sampson, the offensive lineman, and really for the way that these guards can also play and pull a lot with how much that Colleyville wants to run in between the tackles, they have really had no runs for losses tonight, and that is a huge credit to the offensive line creating space and the vision of the running backs in the backfield. Bryce Abram with an explosive run. Gerard Wiley, they both offer a lot in this Colleyville backfield, a great position that the Panthers want to be in as Bodie Weaver rolls out to the left, has space to run up the field, and he's going to tiptoe the sideline and go out of bounds at about the 26, 27-yard line. We'll see where they mark it. But a good play by Bodie Weaver as he is moving on the ground this evening. Approaching the end of the third quarter, 1st and 10 for Colleyville, set up at the 27-yard line. Trying to score for the third time in as many drives in the end zone here in this second half. Bodie Weaver appeared like it maybe was just a moving pocket play, but as he rolled out and put his eyes downfield and saw no options, took it himself. And the dual threat junior QB gets the snap on 1st and 10, looks up the field, throws it out to Wankambi, and he then stands up, continues to run, but it's an incompletion. Nick Wankambi unable to make the grab, and it's 2nd and 10 for Colleyville from the 27-yard line. So Colleyville looking to the sideline. Both bands and both crowds really engaged this evening on Burleson's senior night. Hand off to Gerard Wiley. He says, it's my turn for a big run, and he gets a yard shy of the goal line. Gerard Wiley rips off a 26-yard run, and both tailbacks tonight running with a ton of space and explosiveness. Here's the carry from Gerard Wiley. Some great blocks applied, and Colleyville set up at the 2-yard line. Weaver out of the gun, gives it off to Wiley, and he punches it. Ooh, no signal just yet. There it goes. Touchdown. Colleyville in complete control. Back-to-back-to-back touchdowns to start the second half. And Colleyville running away with this one late in the third quarter, up 34-7. Looking to make it 35 with this Unified Health Advisors Health Insurance Agency extra point. It is good from Ryan Zucker. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching Panther Friday Night on Tradio.
Clock is ticking. It's last call on 24s at Classic Chevrolet. As the #1 dealer in the world, a huge selection of 24s remain with model year-end savings, like new Silverados, 14 grand off MSRP. Or 0% APR is back. Time is running out to get model year-end savings before they're sold. New Silverados, 14 grand off MSRP will not last. Visit ClassicChevrolet.com now.
Colleyville running away with this one late in the third quarter. 3 drives in the second half. They've all resulted in touchdowns. Bryce Abraham has a score. Gerard Wiley has a score. Bodie Weaver's accounted for 3 of them. And Colleyville, after having a 14-7 lead at halftime, they jumped out to a 14-0 lead in this game. Then Burleson started with the ball in the second half, down by a score, a chance to go down and tie it. They fumble. Colleyville gets it back. They drive down the field and score. And the 2 ensuing drives for Burleson, nothing doing. And Colleyville gets the ball back on punts and scores on both occasions. So 3 drives in this third quarter and 3 touchdowns. They've hung 21 on the board in this third quarter to really run away with this one and put themselves in a position to have that home playoff game, as they would clinch that tonight with a victory. And they're in great position to do just that. 35-7. Burleson back with the football, starting at the 21-yard line. Sparks, low snap. He has to pick it up himself and then gets hit by Colleyville. Unable to recover off the low snap. Well, he recovered the football, but not able to do much after it. And coming in to make the stop, it's Darian Lloyd. A lot on the line for Colleyville tonight, knowing they were in such a good position to have that home playoff game, saying, hey, if we just win one of these final 2 games, Mustang Panther at home in the opening round of the playoffs is us. And, well, they're really approaching that with the healthy lead that they have right now. As we go to the fourth quarter, they're up 35-7 after 3 quarters of action. Fourth quarter coming up next. We'll be right back. You're watching Panther Friday Night here on Tradio.
All right, Buster, come on, you got this. Fix that hair on the right. Just give me hands. Give me the vicious kitty. Perfect. Hey. Hey, you. 40-yard line. Big guy. No, the other guy. I've seen your LinkedIn picture. It's not great. Bless your heart. You need a new headshot. And since you're not watching the game, watch this.
Unleash your professional image with Metroplex headshots. From individual headshots to executive team portraits, we deliver exceptional quality. Metroplex Headshots combines artistry and expertise to create headshots that make an impact. Visit our website at metroplexheadshots.com or call us today to schedule your session. Metroplex Headshots. Unleash your professional image.
Back to action here on Panther Friday Night on Tradio. Started the fourth quarter, Burleson with the football. And on 2nd and 10, it's an incompletion. Interesting storyline that is developing for Colleyville this season, and really as of late, is how the defense has performed in the second half of games. Coming into this game, they had only allowed 6 points over the last 3 games in the second half. They've yet to allow a point tonight here in the second half, as that is a completion downfield up to the 33-yard line for a nice gain for Burleson as they hook up with their wideout in Braden Bruder. Check it, it's Brody Lott, the junior, who made the catch to set up Burleson for a 1st and 10 at the 33-yard line. But it's a team with a lot of momentum right now anyway, having won 3 consecutive games, as it is tossed out and then the ball is loose, but it's going to be ruled an incompletion. So a 2nd and 10 from the 33 awaits. However, you win 3 straight, but also 5 of your last 6 coming into this game. They're playing their best football of the year at the end of the year leading into the postseason. This is the penultimate regular season game. They'll have the finale, a big rivalry matchup coming up next week against Grapevine, two teams that share the same stadium. It'll be at Mustang Panther Stadium next Friday night, as that is a shot down the sideline. Incomplete. Chase Gibson was in the coverage. They could not hook up with Brody Lott, and that makes it a third down. So Colleyville aiming to win their fourth in a row. And trying to make it 6 wins in their last 7 games. As Andrew Sparks has the incompletion there on that last play to Brody Lott. Now third down. Pressure comes. Sparks deep shot again down the field. And again, it's incomplete. In the coverage for Colleyville was Daniel Stevenson, as some of the second string players, pretty much all second string players, into the ball game now for Colleyville with the healthy lead that they have here at this stage of the fourth quarter, and that'll force the Elks to punt once again. But the trend of this second half defense is really something, especially in one of the toughest districts in the entire state, coming into this game to have only allowed 6 points in the second half in their last 3 games. And if they keep a clean sheet in this second half, that would be just 6 points in the second half allowed in 4 games. I mean, that is a very, very impressive mark for Colleyville, as they have really come alive now for the 4th consecutive week defensively in the second half, and of course the offense. 3 drives, 3 touchdowns, and now after the Elks punt it for a 5th time tonight, Colleyville gets the football right back. They'll start at their own 33, and they'll try to keep it going on offense, trying to go for a 4th score in as many drives here in the second half as we're in the early stages of this 4th quarter, and Bodie Weaver is in the shotgun. Jay Caldwell Swimming Pools brings you this 4th quarter of action. Bodie Weaver throws it to the outside, and it's quickly read. Nick Wankabi stopped in the backfield for a big loss despite the completion. On the screen, the Elks were right there. Colleyville, a 4th quarter away from winning their 4th consecutive game in the regular season finale. Coming up next week against Grapevine. Grapevine, a team that has been eliminated from playoff contention for a few weeks now. However, big rivalry matchup coming up with Colleyville and Grapevine in Grapevine at Mustang Panther Stadium next Friday night on Tradio. Should be an excellent broadcast, as a couple of Tradio crews will be there for the coverage, and it should be some of the best coverage you've seen all season long. 3rd down and 9 upcoming for Colleyville, as they have it at the 34-yard line. Bodie Weaver gets the shotgun snap, fires it near side to Samir Johnson, makes the catch, turns up the field, and what a great play made by Samir Johnson. A touchdown catch earlier in the half, and a big completion on 3rd down to keep the drive alive for Colleyville. The sophomore wide receiver with a big play, number 10. Colleyville at midfield. Burleson, though, going to call a timeout. They had too many men on the field, and before getting penalized, they just burned a timeout. So Colleyville will huddle up, talk things over. And with 9:56 left in this game, a very impressive effort to start this second half, because the game, it was hanging in the balance at the intermission with Colleyville just up by a touchdown. Now, we asked Jerry Edwards, you talk to this team, and understanding the mindset of this program, they're in a very comfortable position when games are close, going into the locker rooms and even being down. especially considering the fact that being down at halftime is what they had the previous 2 weeks coming into this game. They're still able to prevail, and the big second halves was a huge story coming into this game over the last 3 weeks, with the defense just allowing 6 points in total in their 3 previous games coming into this one in the second half, and putting up a donut on the scoreboard as well defensively in this second half. Again, that has been a thing that Jerry Edwards has talked about, and a big phrase that goes around this program is Panther fight never dies. And when he broke that down for us here on the pregame show at Tradio, he explained how this Panther fight, the resilience and the belief that this group has, it continues to give you the thought that this group only gets stronger as the game goes along, as well as Graves makes the catch over on the far side. Good hookup to the senior tight end to set up a third down. But for Colleyville, too, another aspect of that, the senior leadership and just the upperclassmen leadership of this experienced Colleyville team that still has a good cast of characters. Yes, a new quarterback and a lot of new pieces at the skill positions, but some of the nucleus of this team, particularly on the defense, was a part of a Big 12 win season when they went on a huge playoff run last year. And they have that confidence. And here's another big run up the field. Bryce Abram is going to work on the ground tonight, but a flag is down at the 40-yard line. We'll see if this one's going to come back. As not all the twos are in on offense, a lot of the ones still out there on defense. It was a healthy dose of the twos, and a holding call against Colleyville will erase what was an explosive run from Bryce Abram. And you'd suspect if Bodie Weaver, that holding call makes it more challenging back to 3rd and 10, but if he can direct a touchdown drive here, you'd likely expect a change at quarterback and probably to get all the starters out. If they can continue to expand on this lead, Bodie Weaver shot down the field. Nick Wankambi's the target, and it's intercepted. Coming up with the pick, a flag after the fact, but it is Jaden Flournoy with his team leading 4th interception of the year. He is flagged with taunting after the play, as he clearly got up in the face of Nick Wankambi after picking off that ball as Weaver took a shot down the field. The junior quarterback with a strong arm down the field, one of those go-get-me balls, and it was Nick Wankambi who was unable to come up with it. Jaden Flournoy did, but a taunting call after a 15-yard penalty, not going to be the full distance of the penalty, just half the distance to the goal after the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty assessed on Jaden Flournoy after he comes up with the interception. And so Colleyville with a chance to try to get another safety. And the Elks will have a 1st and 10, backed up at their own 2-yard line after the penalty. Handoff to Jackson, bursts through a hole and gives some room for the Elks to breathe. Tackle made by Colin Bennett, a second-string linebacker, as well as someone who got some carries at the beginning of the year in the backfield. And he's able to make the stop on the pickup of 5. Colleyville, for the most part, has really limited any running attack for Burleson. Another handoff again to Jackson as they're just trying to get out from their own territory. A pickup of a couple more. Understanding a 35-7 deficit. They're going to have to go quick and likely have to do it through the air, but a couple runs on the first 2 plays after being backed up at their own 2-yard line. Makes it a 3rd and 1 from the 11. and comes in motion. Sparks throws it over the middle, and it is caught. Not going down just yet. Big play made up to about the 45-yard line. Jaden Hernandez with the slant across the middle, and he has a nice gain. A 23-yard pickup for Jaden Hernandez makes it 1st and 10 from the 34. Jackson with the handoff. He now breaks a tackle and has some space. His best run of the night. He gains a dozen and picks up a 1st down up to the 45-yard line. As Burleson, they've only run 5 plays in Colleyville territory tonight, and it came on a 5-play scoring drive at the end of the first half after they recovered a fumble from Colleyville, who had a goal-to-go situation, up 14-0, looking to take a 21-0 lead. Burleson got a fumble recovery and scored a touchdown at the end of the first half to make it 14-7 at halftime. However, Colleyville, first 3 drives of the second half, they scored touchdowns to go from 14 to 21 to 28 to now 35-7 with the midway point of the fourth quarter. Is where we've arrived in this ball game, 2nd and 8. With under 6 to play in regulation. And there is a pass to the far side. Watkins was in the coverage. Nearly picked that one off. As Zachary Alford was the intended wide receiver on the play.
After the play, sportsmanlike conduct on the defense, number 25, the 15-yard penalty.
And Watkins, who was in the coverage, he gets tagged with an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty after it looked like he nearly intercepted that ball. And that'll move the Elks forward. Again, Colleyville Heritage and Grapevine upcoming next week. That's November 8th, Friday Night Lights in Grapevine, Texas. For Colleyville and Grapevine. Another dime thrown to the sideline. Good play made by the sophomore quarterback to find Jaden Hernandez. And it is the best that this sophomore quarterback has looked tonight with some high-level throws across the field on a pattern out to the sideline to bring the Elks into the red zone. Much of Colleyville's second-string defenders are in the ball game now, getting an opportunity to get some reps. But still, the Elks moving the football more than they have all night long, and they get a completion to the 10-yard line. Finding Hernandez once again over the middle. So 2nd and 1. 5.5 and ticking in the fourth. Sparks looks toward the end zone. It's incomplete. Chase Gibson with great coverage. Somebody, you talk about the second string defenders in, but he had made a lot of really good plays early in the season. Just with all the experience that Colleyville has in the secondary. Harder for him to get on the field throughout the game, however, big play. As they take the shot to the end zone, trying to find his man, Bruder, and it is incomplete. So a 3rd and 1, and handoff to the outside, and Colleyville all over that run. Nowhere to go for Jaden Hernandez. And that sets up 3rd down. So Burleson trying to punch it into the end zone. We'll check that. That was right past the line again, so this is a fresh set. 1st and goal to go from the 8-yard line. Sparks broke a couple tackles and runs it into the end zone. Looked like he was sacked in the backfield. Instead, an 8-yard touchdown for the sophomore quarterback. And the Elks get on the board. In Colleyville. Surrenders the touchdown to make it 35-13, pending the point after. And look at Sparks. Breaks a couple tackles, runs into the end zone. The extra point is converted, and it makes it 35-14. 4.5 to go in the 4th quarter in Colleyville. After just allowing 6 points over the past 3 weeks in the second half, they surrender 7. However, they're still in complete control. We'll be back next. It's Panther Friday Night on Tradio.
All right, Buster, come on, you got this. Fix that hair on the right. Just give me hands. Give me the vicious kitty. Perfect. Hey. Hey, you. 40-yard line. Big guy. No, the other guy. I've seen your LinkedIn picture. It's not great. Bless your heart. You need a new headshot. And since you're not watching the game, watch this.
Unleash your professional image with Metroplex headshots. From individual headshots to executive team portraits, we deliver exceptional quality. Metroplex Headshots combines artistry and expertise to create headshots that make an impact. Visit our website at metroplexheadshots.com or call us today to schedule your session. Metroplex Headshots. Unleash your professional image.
Onside kick for Burleson. 35-14 score. They go for the onside kick and waiting to see who recovered it. You suspected they probably would try to go for it, but Colleyville is able to hop on it, and because of that, they will have solid field position. And we'll see if some more of the number 2s are going to get some repetitions now on offense. That is the case here for Colleyville. Backup quarterback Dimitri Hudson now into the ball game. Dimitri Hudson, the junior quarterback. He's got in a couple games this year. Not really any action, and he gets in when he's not in a situation where Colleyville's going to pass, so no passing stats really for Hudson. And when he comes into the game in situations like this, the score pretty much out of hand, the result not in question, and he comes into the ball game, Burleson going for the onside kick, something you'd suspect. And, well, if you were with us a few weeks back, we know it's 35-14, but with Ryan Zuckert on your side and for Colleyville, they were down by 21 points against Argyle. And even more than that at some points, they were actually down 21 twice. This is the lone district game Colleyville's lost so far. A little bit different story here, but still same thing applies. They recovered 2 onside kicks and scored and had a chance for a third onside kick, didn't recover it, and ended up losing by a possession, fighting back from down 21 twice in that ball game against Argyle, a team that is running away with the district title with how excellent they've been this season. But it's Hudson in at quarterback. Bodie Weaver has his night complete. 3 touchdowns for him, a couple in the air, 1 on the ground, and then Bryce Abraham and Gerard Wiley have accounted for the other touchdowns. Then it's Colin Bennett in the backfield for Colleyville. Had 24 carries on the year coming in and goes again on the ground. As Colleyville's just going to try to tick time off the clock, wrap this one up, and leave Burleson with a victory. 35-14, the score now. And Colleyville going to continue to try to run plays to wind down the clock and get ready for the regular season finale next week against Grapevine for Tradio ×2. A couple Tradio production teams will be in action for the big rivalry matchup next week. 35-14, the score. Colleyville with the lead. 3rd and 9, they have it toward midfield. They come out in the second half and score 3 touchdowns on their first 3 drives to put this game out of reach. Hudson gets sacked in the backfield, but a wise decision to not throw it away as the clock continues to tick. Burleson will take their first of 3 timeouts. With 2:53 to go in the fourth quarter, they burn one to try to preserve some time. We'll take a timeout as well. You're watching Panther Friday Night on Tradio.
Can't get enough. Just can't get enough. Come on, let's go. Can't get enough. Start the show. Can't get enough. Yeah. Just can't get enough. Oh, 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 oh.
Fourth and 12, Colleyville to punt after the Burleson timeout. Faked a punt earlier in this half. Not going to be the case here, though, as Ryan Zuckert boots it away, and it is fair caught at the 17-yard line. Call it the 18-yard line, where the Elks will start. They had their best drive of the game last time they touched the ball, followed it up with an onside kick. Colleyville recovered around midfield, but with the backup quarterback Dimitri Hudson in, a pair of runs, and then he was sacked. Colleyville punted the football away as this game is all about over with a 35-14 advantage for the Panthers. Another just dominant second half. And that has been the story really now the last 4 weeks. Burleson trying to connect on the outside. Incomplete pass there to Christian Aldaco, the senior wideout. Makes it 2nd and 10. Burleson with no timeouts remaining and 2:49 on the clock. We need to score 3 touchdowns. And they opt to run the football right up the gut. Coming in to make the stop is Madden Williams. You see the Colleyville Heritage Panthers are getting excited. Some great moves across the way on the sideline. All in sync. We saw that during our halftime program as well, as that is a rush up the middle for Nathan Jackson. That's what it's going to be. Some runs, and then the clock will run on out, and Colleyville will leave Burleson with a victory. And for the Panthers, going to move to 7-2 on the year. Now 6-1 in district action, and this victory tonight has clinched a home playoff game. A high snap and another handoff to Jackson makes a defender miss and rushes across the 35-yard line for Burleson. They will drop their 3rd consecutive game and fall to 3-6 on the year and 2-5 in district play. They have their regular season finale at Everman coming up next week on the road. Again, Grapevine is the opponent upcoming for Colleyville, and they were in action tonight against Argyle. Argyle, they had no problem with Grapevine. A 62-7 victory for the Eagles as Grapevine drops to 0-9 and 0-7 in district play. And they will meet Colleyville Heritage at Mustang Panther Stadium next week for a big rivalry matchup between two teams that share the same stadium. Shot down the sideline, but it's incomplete. Great grab there made by Zachary Alford, but it was unable to stay in bounds with just 52 seconds left in this fourth quarter. So a big win for Argyle tonight. And with that victory for them, they end up securing themselves the number 1 seed in 3-5A D2. So the playoff picture becoming more clear. Argyle locked in as the number 1 seed. Colleyville locked in as the number 2 seed. Mansfield Timberviews playing their final game of the season as well today, waiting on a score from that game. If they should lose, that would leave for the playoff hopes hinging on Arlington Seguin losing their Week 11 game next week, because the other team that has secured a playoff spot is Summit. So Argyle 1, Colleyville 2. Summit's going to be in. Then it comes down to Timberview and Seguin. We'll wait to see if we can get you a Timberview score. They are playing the Colony this evening. Huge shot down the field, and it is incomplete as time expires here this evening. One final heave, it's not completed, and Colleyville, with a dominant second half of action, take this one. 35-14 the final score, and the Panthers win their 4th game in a row. They've now won 6 of 7, and they gear up for the regular season finale. Next week, we'll see you then at Mustang Panther as they take on Grapevine. For Trey Bell, I'm Will Connerly. We say so long from Burleson ISD Stadium. Panthers win it 35-14. That is our edition of Panther Friday Night on Schradio.